Hello, trust you're doing great. In continuation of our last topic on transportation, the Industrial Revolution. In our last topic, we treated on land transportation, but today we are going to be looking into the other various types of transportation, that is water transportation, rail transportation, air travel, and space travel. So let's start with water transportation. Water transportation. Now, human beings have been traveling for thousands of years, from the use of simple rafts and canoes made from logs and planks to huge wooden ships to the complex cruise ships of today. Okay, now history of water transportation. A raft is the simplest form of water transportation. A raft is a floating structure made by tying together logs of other materials that float. So it could be a bamboo stick tied together. When you tie them together, you'll be on it, then it will float on either the river and then it will be moving. So the raft is just the simplest form of water transportation. So most rafts are being propelled with long poles or paddles. Now, let's still continue with water transportation. Now, later on, the Greeks and the Romans built war vessels that used oars and sail for greater propulsion. So oars are the paddles we used to we use in paddling canoes. So oars are those paddles that help canoes to move. So the use of sailing ships declined with the invention of steam engines and later gasoline and diesel. Then we still have the sail, okay? Sail is just a piece of material extended on the mast of a ship, giving it greater speed as it catches the wind. Okay, now these ports in Nigeria, the seaports in Nigeria, we have the Apapa Port, Thinken Island Port, Warri Port, Cocoa Port, Opobo Port, we have Port Harcourt, then Calabar Port. When ships arrive at the seaports, they are either seen offloading or picking cargoes. Now let's see the images of a raft, a canoe, and a ship. The first image by my left is the image of a raft. You can see the logs of bamboo tied together. So if you stay on this raft, you can move on any river. So it's an old means of transportation. Then you have a canoe being paddled with an axe. Then the modern ship. You see how large it is and it can carry containers. Now let's watch this clip on uh, ship transportation, that is on water transportation. You can see how big this modern ship is. This product of the industrial invention revolution. Okay, this big ship carries goods from different countries to the other. Some goods can come from Europe to Africa to Nigeria in Lagos here, while we too in Nigeria export our crude oil to other countries like America with these big ships. Imagine the 2.5 million barrels of crude oil that Nigeria pushes out of our country, we export to other countries to buy so that our government can have enough income. Even other products that come into the country, rice, turkey, name them, they are brought into this country through this cruise ship. And that is what? That now you have seen how large this ship is. Let's look at rail transportation. Rail transportation is the movement of passengers and goods along railways or railroads. Okay, some of you have been privy to see trains physically, but most often when you watch your movie, you see trains moving on the railroads. Now, a train is a series of railroad vehicles linked together. The vehicles are drawn by a locomotive. What's a locomotive? A locomotive is a specially designed engine built for use on railways. We've said that the steam engine the heat the steam engine produces helps to power those locomotives on trains and ships. Now, in the 1814 in England, George Stephenson used steam engines to power locomotives to pull wagons along the rail tracks. Then he later adopted the locomotive. Today, the railway industry has evolved from using steam to using diesel and using electricity. Okay, now images of the early trains drawn by locomotives and a modern train. By the left, the image there is the olden trains, the trains built in the 18th century, okay, that were powered by steam engine. You see that the smoke is not environmentally friendly, okay, while the modern train is neat, is environmental friendly, and it's not burning a lot of fuel. Now let's continue with air transportation. Air transportation. For thousands of years, human beings have been fascinated by the flight of birds. Yes, they look at birds. Some wanted to fly like birds. Some put wings and attach them with wax and try to fly. Immediately they go up a little, the sun melts the wax, and then they come down to the air. Now, by the 16th century, we are now in the 21st century, okay? By 16th century, like 400 years backwards, okay? Leonardo da Vinci invented the propeller and a parachute. Okay, now Leonardo da Vinci, many people studied, he studied aerodynamics. Aerodynamics is the study of how solid bodies move through the air. Planes could not be powered by the steam engine, but you know that trains and ships, they were powered by steam engine, but train could not be powered by steam engine. Let's continue on air transportation. But finally, in the early 20th century, near Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, United States, two brothers, Wilbur and Orville Wright, we call them the Wright Brothers, they made the world's first successful flight. Okay, so they developed the aviation industry. Now, what hastened development of this aviation industry was because of the World War. Okay, so the government involved in this World War, they poured a lot of money in building aircraft and training pilots to attack, pursue, and bomb other military operations on the enemy. So a plane's engines are actually designed to move it forward at high speed. Maybe you're asked to conduct a research on what makes the plane to be held up in the air. So you say that a plane's engine are designed to move it forward at high speed. That makes air flow rapidly over the wings, which throw the air down towards the ground, generating an upward force called lift that overcomes the plane's weight and holds it in the sky. So the wings force air downwards, and that pushes the plane upwards. That's what keeps the plane suspended in the air. Now, the image of early aircraft by the Wright brothers and the modern planes of today. So you can see the invention of the Wright brothers. You see how the planes are looking. Okay. Then the other image by the live, you see the new modern planes, beautiful, built, can carry big cargoes, can carry passengers. It could be for leisure. They could use it for war, anything. Okay. So that's that. Now let's look at space travel. Space travel. Of course, for many years, human beings have gazed at the skies and wondered about life in space. With the development of science and technology, humans could travel into space. Of course, you know we have 9 planets, okay? Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These are bodies in the space. Now, the space age began with the launch of the first satellite into space. Satellite is an artificial body placed in the orbit around the Earth, could be around the moon or another planet, to collect information or for communication. So scientists, they place this satellite into the atmosphere, into the space, to pick information from the space. They will be guiding it from the Earth here with the use of the computer. So the first man to travel into space is astronaut Yuri Gagarin in 1961. Who is an astronaut? An astronaut is a person who is trained to travel into space. Now let's still continue on this space travel. Let's continue. Now, US astronaut Neil Armstrong was the first man to land on the moon. Yes, the moon that you often see at night. US astronaut Neil Armstrong. Neil Armstrong was the first man to land on the moon. The first satellite to travel into space is Sputnik 1. With the aid of these satellites, we're able to download things from our internet. Without a country or a neighborhood launching a satellite, you will not be able to access the information from other parts of the world. But if you're in an environment where satellite is being launched, you could access information on the web. You can watch your televisions, These are all the benefits of launching satellites into space. So the first satellite that was launched in space is the Sputnik 1. Challenges engineers and scientists face in trying to put up a satellite in the space include: first, they have to develop rockets that were powerful enough to boost a satellite outside the Earth's atmosphere. Then they have to build light and durable materials strong enough to withstand the force of being launched into the atmosphere. Now let's look at the images of those various space satellites. First in Nigeria, President Olusegun Obasanjo launched Sat-1 and Sat-2. Okay, so that was how Nigeria were able to start using the mobile phones. Before now, people used to go to the hills before they can get network to connect to phones and all that. But now, even inside your bedroom, in your sitting rooms, you could access any information or make some calls because the internet is everywhere. Now you can see the images of all the satellites that have been released into space. First is the Sputnik 1 by the left. Sputnik 1 was the first one that landed into the Earth, that was launched into the space, and the battery died after some 59 minutes. Then it fell down into the Earth. Then the second below is robots. Robots could be sent into the space to pick up information. Then the other one by the right, they are modern space satellites. Okay. Thank you for watching this video. You can see a bicycle before you. Bicycle is one of the cheapest means of transportation because it's fuel efficient and it's really environmental friendly. You roll on the paddles and off you go. So be good and see you next time.